Hey, KT. You here? Oh, did you go the other way? KT. That's cool. Oh, there's a whole other way. You went left. No, you didn't. Interesting. I had no idea there were so many paths. There you are. Hello.
Hello.
Join me.
I guess you're on the other side of that path. Oh, there you are.
Yeah.
This one took a long time to load.
Oh, did it? It said you were in here, so I was running around looking for you. But here we are. You are the first one to arrive. Way to be on time.
Well, I thought about playing more with avatars, but thought being on time was more important.
Aw. Yay. Well, maybe we can stop by the Avatar store today to play around a little more. Yay. Just so you know, this is a live streamed event like last time, but just reminding you of that. And yeah, we had enough people RSVP that hopefully we'll have our event today, especially because we get to do a special world hop with the creator. I'm not sure if you saw that.
I did. I saw that kind of late.
Yeah.
I've been super busy this week.
Yeah.
My real world group is meeting at my house.
Oh,
It was going
wow.
to be Saturday, but now it's Sunday. So I've been
Okay.
not only cleaning, but doing the spring cleaning I'd put
Right.
off. And
Yeah. That definitely takes up a lot of energy to just feel the physical space being alive again.
yeah.
Very cool. Oh, we've got a couple of people here. We've got Wild Opus. Hello, Wild
Hello.
Opus.
Hey, I'm
Oh my
Lauren.
gosh, the cardboard queen
Yeah.
in person. That's great. Lovely.
Yeah.
Oh. Well, welcome. And we've got Clayton. Hi, Clayton. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Oh, hello.
Made it.
Turn your avatar on. I see the shadowy witchy figure by default.
Oh, yeah.
So okay, now I see the VR chat avatar. Yay! Hey, Carl. Nice to see you.
Hello.
Welcome, welcome.
Morning.
Good morning. I know you work the night
Good morning.
shifts. Yay!
I almost didn't make it. If my wife wasn't yelling at my kid in the other room, I might not have woke up.
Oh wow. Everything all right? Or does family
Not
wounds?
really. He got kicked out of school for the week. And
Oh
Friday and
shit!
Monday. He can't go back till Tuesday.
Whoa, that is a really big deal. Is this something where you need to be focusing on family right now?
No, I've been focusing him on all day. It's his mom's turn. I finally went to sleep like 3 hours ago.
Oh wow. Well, thank you for getting up for this. I know you have night shifts, so appreciate
Yeah, the
that.
weekend is kind of always hectic anyway, so I'll
Yeah,
just probably go back to sleep later.
totally. Yay.
Sooner rather than later.
Yeah. Well, and let us know if that changes. You sound sleep deprived, so
No, I'm good.
okay.
My local school district has children that are having issues go to school in an alternate location so they don't get to get out of school.
Oh, interesting. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's kind of what this place was supposed to be, honestly. I mean, not like
Oh
fully,
no.
but he's at this school because of
Other.
problems at the previous
Yeah.
school.
Gotcha. Oh, tough. I did not grow up in formal school systems, and so I don't know what that's like. I always envied it, but then when I really think about it as an adult, I think No, the grass is probably not greener on the other side. Like that gets brutal very quickly. So, well, I want to
One of the
celebrate.
few ways that
Oh, go ahead.
I'll just end talking about that, but I'll say that's one of the ways that I'm frustrated is like feel like I'm an old man, like the whole like back in my day, like I wasn't like getting hit with rulers or anything, but you know teachers kept you in line, and like if
Yeah,
you didn't, there was like consequences. You know,
yeah,
just like kids just walk out of class, and like I got the call that like, oh he walked out the front door. Like what the hell? How's that even possible? But
yeah.
okay, I'm coming.
Wow. Yeah. Yeah, the neck every generation seems to be more like calling bullshit on the system, and there's not much less of a system to call bullshit on at this point. So kind of walkout protests at this point. But yeah, thank you for telling the truth, and we definitely always have a human check-in part of our meetings. And I
Get my
wanted,
woes out of the way.
yeah, nice your family community building woes, right? Um,
Uh,
I want to just welcome Clayton and Wild to our group. Um, you don't know this, Clayton, but you are one of our first graduates of a new role that we created in BridgeMakers called being a maybe instead of, and it's spelled Maybee. Wild came into our server right before we implemented this, but it requires you've been through the process. You know, it's a question, it's a discerning, it's a back and forth. And this is partly out of security concerns, but partly out of really wanting to hit the ground running, engaging with our community member as a team from the beginning. And so having you be here is just a really lovely way to kind of show us maybe something's working about this, because we have a lot of people join who never come to events, and they just kind of lurk of sorts or learn in the positive light maybe, but we don't know because we never get to talk to them. So this is a different way to just kind of be like, you're not in until we get to meet you and get to feel you out. So yeah, welcome, glad you're here. And
Thanks for having me.
yeah, and Wild is, we have a format for this experience. And before I forget to say this again, this is a live streamed event. The first hour, we talk about community woes, whatever they are, the community building woes that we go through, um, and don't really have a place to talk about that with other community builders, and just tell the truth. And this isn't about being fixed or changing each other, but it is about having a space to say what's hard about community building and what we're struggling with. And sometimes we do little exercises for that first hour to kind of give a contribution to each other without fixing each other. Like we'll have a question game where we offer a question to one person who shared or whatever. So we'll see how that goes tonight, depending on what we're sharing and whatever else. And then the second hour is where we go from, you know, the violins we all need to play for ourselves, because community building is freaking hard, you know, at the family level, at every level. It is just kind of soul draining. And it's always this battle of, can it be more soul filling than soul draining? And every day is a different answer. But the second hour is where we shift into something a bit more playful, and yet we're still learning. And the play is to look at all the digital spaces that we're in and ask the questions: how does this space make community and how does it break community? And every world has an answer to that. And we find those answers together as community builders, and also with those of us who engage in content design and avatar building and world design. We have a special guest tonight who's going to be showing us her world. And I've been looking forward to this for like 3 weeks. So, yeah, we're going to, every once in a while, we have world creators who will take us to their worlds, and we get to do a little showcase and learn from not just the like, oh, cool world, which is usually where that conversation stops for world builders, and go a little deeper. And sometimes it can be like fresh and uncomfortable to some degree to be like, how is the spatial design working? And what kinds of people do we think might leave quickly and stay longer? And but in other ways, we can also really enjoy this space because we do this every week. And so we're somewhat practiced at like testing it and feeling it and getting into the soul of the world. So that's our second hour. And then at the end of that, we'll do a little checkout and take a picture and say goodnight. Before we get into our community woes, which Carl already kind of initiated there, we do talk about norms. How do we grow healthy and brave space together? And so there are norms in the group description, which I'm realizing I'm not representing anymore because, but Carl is. So you can click on Carl and look at the group description to see. It's listed in the rules section, but we call them norms because they're a lot softer than rules. Just like, what is the culture that we're building? And every time we get together, we are making that culture actively. And so naming something that you see there in the writing that kind of warms your heart or strikes you, you want to learn more about it, and or talking about a norm that you practice in your community systems that you find really valuable to make healthy group dynamics. You can sample from our pool or bring us something new from yours. But everybody names at least one norm. And so we're kind of verbally contracting with each other on how to be here tonight. So who would like to start?
Well, I can go ahead and say the blunt way of putting it is no Irish exits, but check in, check out.
Mm-hmm.
Say hi and bye. If you got to go all of a sudden, give us a little heads up, and
Yeah.
that way we're not wondering if you hate us or we said something crazy.
Yeah, and it's also about just respecting that
Yeah,
this space
know
is
that.
created for you and recognizing that we're all building this boat together to go on this journey. So quickly exiting is not necessarily respectful of the intention of BridgeMakers. So just, being aware. It is a little more intense, especially on a Friday evening for people to like show up and be in a more intimate circle, but it's also okay to be with that and be yourself, be playful. And if you have, especially physical reality things that are really pulling at you or something, just let us know what's going on and take off. Yeah, thank you, Carl. What else? Yeah, KT.
Cultivate generosity with each other, which I feel like you exemplify. Thank you.
Oh, well, that's lovely. We're not doing the appreciation game yet. But what do you feel like?
Anyway.
How do I embody that in a way that you want more of in the world?
You've made me feel really welcome
and
helped me out technically.
And
like last time you went to a world that I was curious about.
Yeah, so there's a generosity of sharing spaces and also being really direct and welcoming, which in the wider VR chat culture, I don't know how much everybody here socializes, is not necessarily the norm, right? Which is this like very genuine, contactful, tending to each other, a generosity of presence. Yeah, thank you, KT. It's good to hear.
Where do you mentioned I can see this list in a description?
Yeah, if you click on Carl and you look at the group he's representing, so you would open your square menu first, and then you're going to see a little capsule underneath Carl's floating body, and you click on that, and it's going to bring up his profile. And when you click on his profile, you can see that in the bottom corner of the large menu, the group he's representing is BridgeMakers. That's where you can access the group and look at the description and the norms listed there.
I see, I see. Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I like the RSVP and come on time. I
Nice.
think yeah, it's a lot of especially art groups I'm in, that can be really hard to get everyone to show up on time, and
Mhm.
it's it kind of creates a norm that you can adapt to on some level, but I really wish that people would try to figure out systems to yeah, be able to be more conscientious of that
Yeah.
sometimes.
Well put. The art in many respects can be a sense of flow. And flow happens when flow happens, or so we all believe. And so there's a paradox and tension point between flow and structure. And nobody wants to be the hard ass that's being like, you didn't come on time or whatever. But also, if we don't set up that invitation and that expectation, it's definitely not going to happen, because the default norm is in the metaverse. There's 1,000 options at any moment, or whatever you want to call it, and we can just show up when we feel like, how we feel like. But creativity requires some level of conflict, and it requires a collaboration. And the more out of synchrony that we are, the more stress we're putting on just getting there and not being there. And so then you see all these apologies or these kind of like avoidances, and it just kind of degrades the quality of the work in the group. So setting the containers are so hard, but I'm glad you're noticing that. The RSVP thing is like base level respect that I need to show up and believe that we're going to cook a healthy group moment together, which is kind of funny language, but that's how I define it. We are all part of the soup. Yeah. Thanks for seeing that. Good one. Clayton.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, closest to something that I always look out for and care about is, I guess, just being kind. For me, like, I'm like the Walmart greeter, or whatever. You're familiar with that, It's like, I just say hi to everybody, bye to everybody, and I go, I meet all the new people I never met before, even in instances I wouldn't call my own. I always try to speak to people, and yeah, it's always, it's always, hey, how you doing? This, that, and yonder, whatever I can pick up off immediate interaction with them, and always saying bye, make sure everybody is recognized in that kind of way. And so I also look for that when I go to other places, because it's like, it's isolating, maybe, I guess is a word for it.
Yeah.
When you go somewhere and people don't acknowledge you're coming or you're going,
100%.
Before.
Wow. And I'm guessing, you're not in Curious Connections, because that is the hill that Curious Kibble will die on. Did you know Curious when he was with Talk Group?
Yes.
That
and
is,
it's because I'm with Talk Group, so.
yeah,
Yes.
exactly. So that is his, there's even a BridgeMakers video just on that piece about, we think that not acknowledging somebody entering a space is equitable. We think that that's not on me because I'm not running the space or whatever else. And the people who are running the space burn out doing all the greeting very quickly. And so then the norm becomes just let it be and let them approach me. But we don't realize that, especially in virtual reality, where we're not here accidentally, we all came in here to connect. And so not welcoming somebody is a pushing them away. It is an aggression of sorts interpersonally, and it does harm, and it creates a deep sense of loneliness and lostness in people. So it's lovely to hear you name that so clearly. And I believe as we grow the culture where we all go greet the new person without flooding them, but we all say, hey, you, who are you? that becomes infectious, and it makes us all a little brighter to look at new people and not be afraid of them in the rest of the world. So, yeah, thank you for that.
Absolutely.
That warms my heart. Yay, so many good norms. I've already said it, but yeah, I want you all to know this is a live streamed event. We do have people who mostly engage with BridgeMakers through our live streams, and then they come for our monthly summit or other kind of random one off events and will update us on everything they're learning. So I think that it's a good way to keep a record of how we are collaboratively learning with each other. If you have any concerns about what you do say tonight, please let me know. And sometimes I can go into the video and just clip that piece out or whatever else, because it does matter, especially because sometimes we do share something that feels like, I don't know, I needed to say that then, but I don't necessarily want that part public. And so I'd way rather know if you're feeling uncomfortable and see what I can do to help with that. But mostly it's been, as we've transitioned to the streaming, pretty okay. We all are used to being in front of people and being scrutinized and recognized and feeling like we're on a stage. So this is just part of that. Okay, well, I think we're ready to dive in. So the question is pretty simple for this first part of just like, what is hurting about community building? What is just making you ache, making you feel slow, dragged down, lonely, or burned out in the most kind of psychological sense of it? And you can share whatever is true for you. We have a smaller group, so we have a little more room. And then if you're open to feedback in sharing that, go ahead and let us know. It doesn't mean you're going to get that feedback here from anybody, but it does open up the possibility of a conversation later on with people present who maybe are like, oh, I've been through that exact thing, and that we can follow up with each other afterwards and build that relationship together. So, who would like to share their community woe first? I mean, technically it was Carl, but yeah, let's. Yeah, go for it, Clayton.
I don't know. You know, for me, more recently, of course, I've only been in VR chat for like 7 months. I've never I've never been a leader in any sort of group beforehand. Um, I've never lacked the confidence to make decisions, but now doing it more regularly, having a large group of people, you know, look up to me in different ways and have certain expectations. You know, I do feel that now it's like I see so much stuff that I lack that I think, you know, it's like, well, these people they think this way of me, but at the end of the day, like it's not really that way, you know? Like one thing I think, like I have a hard time, well, using my brain. I'm not very imaginative. And so I sit there and I think like I want to do, you know, better, greater things, you know, for my community, and not just to be, you know, the same person doing the same thing as everybody else. But I have a hard time trying to find that, you know, trying to come up with something that hasn't been regurgitated a million times. Of course, that's going to be hard anyway, but even something just a little different with just a slight spin on it. Like I'm really trying to kind of work on that right now. It's kind of been something, and I don't know. I guess only other thing, it hasn't necessarily come up too much, but it's always been a pain point since I started doing this. Is my lack of confidence in confrontation. I know, like a lot of people, they look at me and they're like, you know, oh, you know, Clayton, he's the sociable one. You know, he's always there if I need someone to talk to or need to help with something or whatnot. But that doesn't extend very far when it comes to confrontation. You know, I lock up really bad, and so it's like I also want to work on that to be so the people that come to me with this different things and people that I do things for, host events for, are there for, etc. That like their trust in me is not misplaced to handle those kind of situations, you know, when and if those situations arise.
Wow. So Thank you for that. And I'm feeling and seeing nodding. So you're definitely resonating here. When you say confrontation, can you describe a little bit more about that? Because I'm a conflict resiliency trainer and I wouldn't say I'm good at confrontation. Um, so what does that
Hmm.
word mean for you?
I guess for me, and it's always like it's it's always usually what's like connects to this because for me it's not even only confrontation, but it's more like in any scenario where there's like that fear of rejection of it like not going the way you want it to go.
Mm, hmm
Um, and I struggle with this the most because whenever I'm having not even arguments or whatever, but maybe I have to state something a little harshly, or it is a back and forth argument, or I have to stick up for somebody, or whatever. I I struggle a lot with that because I have a hard time of thinking what's the right thing to say. What do I need to say in the moment and not get because I guess like a lot of times, you get a little carried away, you don't really know what to say, you say stuff you're not supposed to say or you shouldn't have said. And so I always have a hard time, like saying exactly what I should say and saying it when I need to say it.
Mm-hmm.
So it's kind of like sometimes I look at those statements of pushing in and bringing something new as there's the skeleton, there's the backbone of what I need to say. But then there's the
Hmm.
muscles of how does that all work together to model a new thing that needs to happen or change. And then what's the skin to that? Is it soft and furry or is it like spiky and scratchy? And adding those layers in a way that creates that momentum and is effective is tough. It's tough to organize. What is the core stuff I got to say? What is the actions, the metaphors that explain why that's important? And then what is that thing that draws me towards it and is attracted, that soft skin part? Or maybe that cool, sleeky dragon skin. How does this apply so that people want to reach out and touch it and try to understand it? Um, yeah, that can be very tingly.
Hmm.
Thank you for sharing that. Hopefully my metaphor wasn't too weird, but that's definitely how
Mm-hmm.
I frame those moments is like if I only have 10 words here before I lose your attention, what are my 10 words that I need you
Hmm.
to hear? And I'm going to weave those into the muscles and the skin. And so it's all going to be looping back around. And then what are the pieces that really demonstrate it, that I'm modeling it, that I'm saying, here's how it can look if we do this thing different? And then how do I make it approachable or admirable? Cool. All right. Quite a sharing. Thank you. Are you open to feedback if people wanted to
Yeah,
check in about that?
absolutely.
Okay,
Yeah,
good. It's a good journey
I'm
to
I
begin.
have goals and I want to
Hmm
be better at what I do.
Yeah, and that's true. The first part I heard you say is finding that momentum, that creativity that turns into action, that becomes an executable plan. And then the
I think
second part was the
that a lot.
confrontation. Yeah, I know that there's resonance there. So
And then,
these
I mean, really, even kind of the leading into it of, like, I think my reaction to that is the kind of just improvisational. If I don't plan, the plan can't go awry.
Hmm.
Oh, I hear you, Carl. I hear you. Way to empathize there. And yeah, the funny thing about bridge making is, the most basic bridge is a fallen log, right? That doesn't take a ton of planning, or I guess just rock formations that form over time so you can get across a divide. But um, the more people, the more complex, the more the bridge requires some level of planning. And that can be
Hmm.
tough, especially in this kind of landscape that is so flow based. So, yeah. Who else would like to share their community woes? KT.
And I'll offer something. I can resonate with a lot of what you're saying, and I can think of a skeleton, and maybe even muscles. But where I lose it is when the adrenaline starts up
Mm,
and I'm in a
mhm,
biochemical soup.
mhm,
And what I've learned to do there is to breathe,
mhm,
for one thing, lower my shoulders because they tend to creep up around my
mm,
ear
mm,
and tie up my voice, all of that. Whereas if I can remember to, as part of the breath, lower my shoulder and then go back to the skeleton of what
mm,
you have to get across. And if one
mhm,
approach, one skin, didn't work,
mm,
and that's what got your adrenaline pumping, well, you can be extemporaneous. You
mhm,
can switch, But the primary thing I wanted to say was breathing and lowering
mm,
shoulders.
mm. The
You don't have
activation
to fill
levels.
every space. You
Mm,
can breathe instead.
mm,
Mm-hmm.
mm. Thank you, Katie.
I appreciate
That's
that.
It's those simple
And
things that it's easy to forget sometimes. Like literally, where is my spine and where are my muscles? What is my skin doing
yeah,
right now?
yes,
let's get out of the metaphor and come back to the body for a moment. Yeah, well done. I like that visual of lowering my shoulders. I don't think of it like that because I just think, well, they'll be low when it's not activating time. But it's a different idea to visualize that every time I breathe, my shoulders are going to come back even further down. Mm, lovely. Um, so yeah, thank you for that. And when we do have feedback, so part of what I'm doing, just to kind of step aside for a moment before we do your check-in about your woes, is recognizing that like what I'm trying to do when I'm hearing each of you share is give you a mirror back to what you're saying, but not necessarily change what you're saying or fix it. The fixing it is instinctual inside of us, even if it's just like sharing our own story, because we feel each other's pain and we want to help that. And my goal for this event is to just give it air. Like a lot of times, by not having a place to share our pain, it turns into shame just because we don't have the circles to talk to each other about what's hurting. And fixing it really fast keeps it from being able to breathe and going, I
Mm-hmm.
just said to everybody, I don't like conflict, and nobody pushed me out the door. And I talked about that in detail of what it feels like to be me, and I'm still here. And that can be the first step to kind of getting some roots in the ground around that thing and holding a question in the world going forward from this moment of just saying, well, now that I've been accepted in that state, who am I now? Because by being witnessed and allowed to be exactly who we are, there's some good evidence within social psychology that it it automatically changes us to be seen and completely embraced as we are. We can't stay the same. And
Mm-hmm.
so
mm,
taking the momentum of that and just seeing where my shoulders are right now. Yeah, did you want to share your community well?
yeah, I can report back on the issue that I had last time. The
Yeah.
group in general has
Mm.
been more peaceful and even playful.
Aw.
So despite everybody having their various stresses and strains, it seems like the group has been able to support each other
Mm.
and in peace um, and a distinct lack of gossip, which I'm really pleased about.
Ooh, that's a relief. The gossip storms.
Um, yeah, I mean, I'd rather just leave the conflict behind and be who we are.
Mm.
Would be my preference. I mean, you have to deal with conflict when it comes up,
Mm.
but but the new thing I wanted to bring is that I'm involved in some social activism,
Mm.
and again, this is a real world example because I
Mm.
haven't done as much in
Mhm.
VR yet. In our state, we've been inundated with people who are building um, cryptocurrency
Mm.
validation operations is what I call them, but
Wow.
mining, cryptocurrency mining is the more
Yeah.
common term. And I have a relative who lives in a town just north of where I am, and their community got all upset about this, and they were trying to band together, and
Mm.
I felt for them, and so I met with them and tried to give them some tools, and I found like as soon as the operations were in place and a bit quieter, it's like nobody was really interested in um, fighting regulations or promoting regulations that would make make land more safe,
Mm.
not damage the water supply and that sort of thing. And found that they wanted me to do everything.
Mm.
When we had public comments on a regulation process, I helped them. I walked through them. I got them a copy of the proposed regulations. We talked it through. And I said, well, here are the main things we've come up with. And they were supposed to email in their comments so there would be multiple, in their own words and what.
Mm.
Hey, Tom.
Tom's here. Hey, nice to see you. Welcome.
Hello, welcome. I don't let me interrupt as you were.
No. This is the community builder meetup, and we were just talking about welcoming newbies. So come on in. It's nice to see you.
And you've built a community or two over the years.
A few, yes.
I'm also a newbie.
And you're
Every
always
day,
a
just
newbie. That's right.
Yeah.
So yay. Oh, good to see you.
Well, at any rate, I'm frustrated with, I am managing their Facebook page, and some national folks recognized that because it grew rather large, and came in and tried to talk to me about connecting with their groups, which I'm happy to do. And they helped us some with the regulations. There was a lawyer that was providing input and that sort of thing. But what I was going to say, the thing that disappointed me is that I put mine in on time and put a lot of work into it, and none of the rest of them did.
Mm-hmm.
So how do you motivate people when it's
Mm-hmm.
their own interest,
Mm-hmm.
their own problem,
Mm-hmm.
and they want to give up and let you do
Mm-hmm.
everything,
Mm-hmm.
or depend on you for
Mm-hmm.
more than the situation warrants.
Yeah.
And so I sat back for a while and sulked, real mature
Oh.
response.
Mm-hmm.
And then one of my friends had done some research, and I've realized what I need to do next is he's done some research on the cryptocurrency mines around the state and how much energy they're using, and ownership, because in our state, ownership by a Chinese company the governor does not want that to happen, although there's been a court challenge on that. This gets complicated.
Mm-hmm.
But at any rate,
Mm.
I need to post that image again with all the research that he has done. He's done some work. I need to recognize it and put it up and see what kind of interest it stirs. And when we step back and look, our area has cheap land and cheap electricity and cheap labor and very business friendly.
Mm.
And so it's a prime area for them to come in. And when you step back and see how many places there are, it's kind of amazing. They've tried to slip it in and get everything done before there was a large opposition. But at any rate, so I've decided now what I need to do is to put that up and see what that might stir up in the way of interest and activity. But to take some of the blame, I think I have taken on too much and not delegated and told them, you guys really need to do this. I don't have time, or whatever. Energy
Setting the
or whatever
boundary.
reason I've got.
Yeah.
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 And
Wow.
have created the problem I'm complaining about.
Mm-hmm. You had such competency that people are more in a frozen waiting state because they've been fed so much. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. I
And I'm
feel
open for feedback.
okay. Yeah, that's good to hear. I definitely feel that your story in my belly. BridgeMakers is a type of activism, so there is some parallel there, um, and motivating people who are doing something in their own time to get involved in not just making their own bridges, but making bridges with BridgeMakers is an ongoing struggle. So I hear you, and thank you for bringing that. For some reason, yeah, it lives in my core, in my belly area when I listen to you. Okay, so we've got Clayton and KT and Carl have shared. Would you like to share, Wild? And Tom, just to orient you, we are just naming one community building pain point right now before we go on a world hop, to look at some worlds, including Wild's world, which Wild created. Yeah, so I'm glad you're here. But we're doing this check-in part first. So, yeah, Wild, would you like to share a pain point?
Yeah, yeah, I guess one thing that has kind of been in the back of my mind over the past year or so is kind of with recent political stuff, just being surprised by the level of division in the US politically, and um, kind of to a level that I'm kind of curious around and feel like I've been shielded from a lot living in Austin.
Mm.
Um, and it's made me, yeah, want to be a small part of the force, I guess, closing some of those divisions or
Mm.
kind of helping to understand and bring people together a little bit more.
Mm.
And one pain point, I think listening to y'all talk, it kind of two things that have been a pain point around that is one, kind of seeing a lot of the hatred, deep hatred on different sides of the political spectrum and
Mm.
feeling kind of powerless against that.
Mm.
And
Mm.
the other one being when I am in a position where I'm talking to someone with different views, feeling the courage to kind of dive into it a little bit or bring up confrontation in a way that I think will be productive,
Mm-hmm.
compared to how I think it might go beforehand. So, yeah, it's something that isn't really an active thing, but something that's just been in the back of my head recently.
Mm-hmm. When you were sharing that, I was picturing that if hatred was a temperature in this world that we're in right now, I imagine for me, hatred would be such a high level of heat that nothing could grow in this space. And so any little plant or bud that I put here and be like, but life exists, it would just wilt and flatten and dry out very quickly. And that's the visceral sense of hatred when I'm around that in people is just everything is black and white and it's very clear. There's a lot of certainty in hatred that has existed for a long time. Um, and it's very hard to negotiate hatred when it's in its full form. But it's also easy to grow hatred when it's not really hatred. And it's just incredible discouragement and disappointment and confusion that has sat for so long, it looks like hatred. And by believing it's hatred, it kind of solidifies it into hatred. So it's tough to discern how to negotiate the less hot spaces to maybe grow a new ecology with people without having so many of those precious plant ideas or creature ideas just wilt and fade and dissolve, and turning that inside me because now I'm feeling a hatred of humanity because I've tried so many things. So it can infect for sure. And thank you for naming that. This is one of the things I really value about bridge making in VR is this is a communal of intranational proportions, that we are speaking as leaders and builders from different corners of the world. And that is special to me. I grew up in Texas part time, in Arkansas part time, and
Mhm.
it was
And
it's a very different
I will
culture.
say that I'm actually a citizen, although I live in Arkansas. I am a citizen of the Sovereign Republic of Texas.
Oh God,
I
I'm
was
gonna walk off a cliff
born
now.
there, and I've lived there at various points in my life enough to
Woo.
renew my citizenship, so I
Yeah,
get it.
yeah, I feel ya. Yeah.
This is kind of uncanny because I live in Arkansas.
Oh wow! Oh my God, it's invasion of the
Excellent,
South. Goodbye,
Kansas.
everybody.
And on top of that, I was born in Texas, so
I was born in
Oh
Texas
my.
also. Yeah. Wow. Tom, if you now say that you're from Texas, and Carl,
Really?
if you're still awake
I
and you are from
went to
Texas.
Austin once for South by Southwest,
Nice.
but no, definitely.
Oh, that's cool. You've been to
Texas,
South by Southwest and that. Oh, that's
ties us
awesome.
all together.
My God.
Austin is cool, yeah.
Never been anywhere near there. Overrated. Overrated.
I'm now the polar opposite of Texas in California. So, I
Oh
thought it
wow.
was Oregon, but I think it's California, to be honest, because, yeah. Um, okay. Well, what a sharing. Thank you for sharing that. And I think for both of you, the boots on the ground and physical reality, and Tom, actually, you're doing more physical reality community building right now. Um, I have an envy and a fear looking at all of you and going, oh, yeah, I used to do that. And then COVID hit and I went into the virtual space and I really haven't reemerged in physical reality community building yet. So it's good to hear that the same struggles exist there. And there is something really beautiful about being able to hug people or shake their hands or ignore them with all your micro expression, full body movements, like turning away. And it's clear communication in physical reality in a way you can't do as easily in VR. Um, there's a lot of crossed wires and misunderstood signals in our subconscious with each other that we don't even know are stressing us out. Um, but they definitely make it harder to negotiate confrontation. I'm going to start to use that word to desensitize myself to it a little bit. But yeah, thank you for sharing that. Tom, do you have a community pain point that you'd like to share? Or are you here for more the World Hop part?
Well, I'll just briefly. I mean, you're really on point. This idea of the difference between community and the physical world reemerging now, and and what VR has been recently. But I also wanted to say for a while there, in the way you were starting to say about hatred too, hatred, anxiety, and uncertainty about the future can also be disguised as hatred sometimes too.
Thank you. Yeah, that's a good point.
And and
Yeah.
and so I think that some of the stuff that gets expressed that way might not be as deeply held as we would think from the outside.
100%. Yeah.
So that just leave it that. But
Thank
yeah,
you.
no, I wasn't even thinking that I would be saying anything. But I will. You're right. It's so obvious to me now that you say it that. And even listening to, I knew about what you were doing, KT. You talked about it a little bit before, and the difference between what I've done in VR for 5 years and what I'm trying to do with a community group in my community is that I've never tried to accomplish anything in VR. Never, not once, ever.
Mm.
I've just created events and people have come, and then whatever happened has happened, and people seem to go away feeling a little bit better, and some of them come back, and
Mhm.
it has grown me as a person. It's expanded me a millionfold, and I'm taking some of that feeling. It's not just it's the idea of like no matter what happens in VR, you could be about to give the mystery of the universe, and all of a sudden you glitch out, and I don't even freak out about that anymore. I
Yeah.
just realize, okay, it's going to take 2 minutes and 42 seconds. I'll be back, and I'll just pick up where. I mean, I've just picked up such a disattachment to
Mm.
anything that
Mm.
it helps me
Mm.
navigate. And again, I didn't have any attachment to any outcomes ever.
Mm. Mhm.
Well, I do now. That's the
Mm.
point of a community group. Is you
Mm.
usually have got a mission. We're trying to make conservation burial on our island,
Mm.
and and I'm in a group with people who, all of whom don't love me, and I don't love all of them, but we have a common purpose in our group, and we're going to run into opposition in our community about what we're trying to do. All those things are going to happen, and
Mm.
and I don't know if I'm any better at negotiating those things, but I think I'm better at handling my internal reaction to them.
Mm.
That would be my
Mm.
share.
Mm. So in a way, you're sharing a pain into growth point that you're realizing VR has been a catalyst for you in being less attached and more purposeful, maybe, of like the purpose is joining you with people you don't love, but you're also allowing for it to get to that place in the way it's going to
If it,
go there.
yeah, if it does, yeah, I mean, if freedom is the acquiescence to inevitable, and pain points in community are inevitable, both within your group
Mm,
and without
mhm,
and you'll either pass through them or you won't. And
mm,
adopting, I think, a more accepting attitude of that is
mm,
probably more helpful
mhm,
toward moving in that direction,
mhm,
and not getting stuck in those polarizing positions that
mm.
Wild was talking about.
Yeah.
And and what it stuck with what you said, KT, about those guys were hoping they could sneak into town before anybody noticed it. I'm trying to do the exact opposite. I'm trying to here's me. I do have intentionality. I'm trying to get the word out about what we're trying to do as
Mhm.
widely as possible to let all the opposition to it emerge as soon as possible, and
Wow.
so we can just begin to talk about it. It's
Let
going to come up.
the
So let's just
chloroform
let it
or
come up.
what is it? What
Yeah.
is the chemical that people are pumped with when they get buried in cemeteries? Not chloroform, it's
Yeah.
s-
Formaldehyde or something like that. Yeah.
formaldehyde. You're like, let's
Yeah.
all
Something.
talk about formaldehyde. That's your new slogan.
Yeah.
And
Well, except the opposite. I'm talking about let's not use formaldehyde.
no, I
That's the old
know,
one.
but if you want
Yeah.
to
Oh,
bring the
yeah.
controversy,
Oh, I
get
see.
the
Yeah, I see. Yeah.
formaldehyde promoters out
Yeah.
there and be like, yeah, tell us all
But
your reasons why everybody should be
well,
pumped full of this deadly
yeah.
chemical that,
That's actually a brilliant thing, Ruth, because a lot of the opposition is people say, "Oh, it's just icky." The idea of putting a body in
right.
the
Yeah,
ground. I say, "Oh, the idea of putting
Well,
formaldehyde in the earth isn't
yeah,
icky." So
yeah.
yeah.
Ugh.
yeah.
The
Mhm.
soup that you become over time of undigested liquid is just like,
Yeah.
no.
But we're getting into the content of it. I
Yeah,
think that
no, but I appreciate that.
and
I appreciate that
I
you're,
attribute it to VR, to
yeah.
what we've all that have been on this ride for years now. How it's helped us develop a certain appreciation for
Mhm.
pain points,
Yeah.
and then here they are, and then know what now. What do we do? Yeah.
Yeah, you're giving it a whole other level though. Is you're just like pain points? Where? Bring it.
Yeah.
Yay.
Let's just keep going. Yeah.
And
Exactly.
we're going
We're just
like, "Oh no, another pain point hit." And you're like,
Let's
"No, no, pain points
surface
are
them
good."
pain
as
point is
soon as
Yeah.
energy.
Bring
possible.
The
them up.
opposite of a pain point is death. Right? A pain point means there's something alive.
Well, there's
So
a
that's energy that we
rewiring.
can provide.
There's a rewiring for confrontation. We are alive and we are disagreeing and you do not approve of me. There you go. Yeah, lovely. So you're the orchestra person. You're like, let's make raucous noise, but let's make noise. And then let's channel that noise into a healthy solution for our bodies and our planet.
But I'm not even saying that and trying to convince anybody else of it. I'm just acting that way
Just
myself,
letting it
and
come.
other people are
Yeah.
sort of doing it, and
Yeah, that's
some
lovely.
are not everyone in our group. Some of the people in our group are like you, KT. It's like, oh, I thought you were part of this. Oh, you're not. Okay, well, I'm going to do it anyway.
More independent. Yeah. Okay. Well, with our 3 minutes left, I'm going to share some version of my community pain point. Thank you, Tom. And I didn't ask Wild, are you open to feedback if people want to follow up with you later or check in? And it's okay to say
Yeah,
no,
sure.
by the way. Okay, good. Um, and I would say that to you, Tom, but I know you are. So I would say, gosh, I wish I could come to your island and march with you for that. There's something about marching for a healthy death that I'm like, yeah, I'd get behind that. I would go do that. There's something so lovely about it. Um,
Everyone here should know that Ruth is the only person who is my VR friend who has been to my island. Anyway,
I know,
That
and
we
when I
actually
say
do.
island, he is. I mean, I say that
Yeah.
with so much love. It is genuinely a rare spot of oasis, and I'm
Well, I'm
so
glad that you were
grateful.
there. It gives
Yeah.
me a little reality in VR to actually have had you there.
Yeah, to
So
anchor
I
it.
hope things are going
Absolutely.
well.
Such an honor. Yeah. So my community pain point is um, the one that is taking up most of the space of my mind is dealing with a community that seems to be very, very toxic. And some of you know more of these details than others, but trying to understand what my responsibility is as a community leader to be involved in addressing the concerns and the flags that I'm seeing with this community, because it is a black hole of effort that just feels like a lot of losing, danger, and risk. And it takes up a lot of my energy, both the first time it came around last year when people started reporting pieces to me about it, and this year it just consumes me because I have a lot of doubt of myself and what I'm seeing. And I look at VR as pixels. This is pixels. And we're making meaning out of these patterns of pixels that we have all user generated, created for each other. And if we make those pixels star patterns, we're projecting stories onto these pinpricks of details and not realizing how many details are there that we can't see. And we're drawing patterns that might not be true. And I struggle with this so deeply that me maybe being attached to being a hero or fixing something or whatever is actually doing more harm than good. And um, I'm talking to people all over the country about this group and consulting with. I'm privileged in my positions and reputation to be able to access world renowned experts on group toxicity and extremism. And I keep thinking, oh, when I have this next meeting, I'm going to feel better. I'm going to feel more clear. I'm going to feel more grounded and landed. And so far, no freaking cigars there. Like, they all seem a lot like more certain on the other side. Like, they're concerned in the beginning, they're more certain by the end. But I'm just like, I still have doubts. And it's so hard to move in such an incredible storm of doubt that risks me and risks all of us, anyone associated to me, if I get known for the work I'm doing. So it is a kind of stress that makes me game to distract myself. And I suffer with it. And I don't know when that stress will be lessened. I'm kind of on pins and needles at the possibility that this might break at a really big level in news. And I won't probably know if it's going to or what's going to come of that for the next couple months. I don't know when this might get fit in. And so it's just really uncomfortable. And I, if I am respected in my wishes, I'm not going to be named connected to it, but it doesn't mean people aren't going to connect me to it and the consequences of that. So I feel a little bit like I'm bracing myself for a really big storm that might not materialize and also might materialize information that would have made me make a different decision in who I'm talking to and what I'm saying. And um, it's agonizing in a kind of quiet, boring way, but just takes up a lot of my energy and consciousness. So that's the sound that goes with it, is so intense. And the more data and pieces people feed me, the less clear I feel and the more concerned I feel at the same time. It's a paradox. The unreality of this landscape where communities grow is very hard to judge and feel solid on for me. I know there's a lot of judgment flying around all the time, but that's just not my nature. So I'm the worst person ever to be a sleuth and whistleblower because I can see so many perspectives of how I could be wrong. and it's very hard to quantify and believe I'm doing anything that is actually good in the world around this. So, oof. So thank you for hearing that. I am open to feedback, and I'm also in a constant stream of feedback from people. So, and I'm staying really vague because I don't want to involve anybody here in a way that could actually risk you. It's a big situation, possibly. So
Well,
the
if
less
I
you know,
try
the
your move here and kind of respond and see if I'm hearing what
yeah.
you're
You
saying,
want to do the echoing?
I
Do the
believe. All
echoing.
right,
Thank you, Carl. Good,
I'm one of
good
those with
helper
a little
two
more
training.
context, so
Yeah.
hopefully I do understand a bit here. But I shared with you recently about my job where I like diagnose computer problems in a really
Mm.
general way of like servers,
Mm-hmm.
and like it resonated with me a lot just in that like I do have this process to follow, and it's like you're used to seeing the signs,
Mm-hmm.
and then but the more information you find, sometimes you actually realize that you didn't understand what was going on. Like
Mm-hmm.
sometimes when more information comes to light, or you just get that different perspective, you share what's going on with somebody else, and they tell you what they heard, and you're like, well, yeah, actually, that could be it. But
Mm-hmm.
and I've been dealing with that at work too, where
Mm.
like thought I had the answer, and turned out it was just some randomness was part of the problem.
Mm.
So by rebooting it a few times, I realized everything I thought I knew was wrong.
Mm.
Oh, ouch.
Yeah.
Maybe
Thank
not
you.
that extreme, but definitely that you know it's the internet space is very hard to have all the information sometimes.
Yeah. Thank you. What I hear you reflecting back to me is you think you might be wrong with the more data you gather. And the funny thing is that the more data I gather, the more certain people sound when I quote what I'm seeing and what I'm hearing back to people. Like they are just like, whoa, that is not okay. So I'm seeing more
It's definitely a
certainty.
problem.
Yeah, I'm seeing more certainty in people as I'm testing these pieces out, but is actually almost like robbing me of my trust of sorts, because certainty is a flag for me that there's fear of sorts.
Mm.
And so the more data I get, the more it just seems like there's no way to not make this link and blow this into a bigger stage. But it's so scary to go, what's going to replace this? Let's say magic wand, this is whistleblown, the group is targeted and shamed and shunned and dissolves. What happens next? These people are not pixels. They don't just dissolve and vanish. They're still going to be here. How do they organize next when we're in a society that is only cancel culture punitive focused? Is this
Sometimes the person who points out the problem is then focused on as
exactly?
Shoot the
Yeah,
messenger.
I feel a little bit like going like, "Hey, I hear something down here. I think this is like an ant colony who feeds acid to people." And then I hear it in more and more places, and if I open that up and it no longer has that anonymity and hiding space, do we just all get attacked by ants? And it's be like, "I found it. It's
Yeah.
there." And now run for your lives. Being from Texas,
And
I
it
know what it's like to be near ant colonies and how
and it
painful
sounds
that
like
can
the
be.
uncertainty is a thumbscrew of pain for you.
Yeah, especially because I can feel the human in people that are high level sage professionals who do not see the human in other people. I can find human in almost anything and anyone, including people in this group. But it's just this level of like the infrastructure around us, the organization that holds us here is at risk with what's happening. And that is where I just can't be passive. I can't look away and say, well, it's not my job. but it's still, yeah, it's still a complexity that if I was a server system, I'm kind of overheating from all the data points. So thank you, Carl. And good practicing, our helper too. We're going to go on a world hop now. Thank you everybody for leaning in here on a Friday evening, for those of you who are in Friday evenings, and just looking at these are hard things, and this is not the end of them. I love the update that something is helping. Sometimes people bring updates, but this is the beginning of a conversation with people who hopefully can hold space with you and not just give you all the knee-jerk problem-solving responses, but really listen and find out, how does this apply to specific situations that we're all in. We're going to start with the space that we're in and ask this question. And then I want each of us who is going to go on this world hop, think about a space, any space. You can even pick a random space world in your menu, but don't tell us it's random. Like, I want you to try to own this. It'd be like, this is the world I picked. And even if you've never been there, give us a tour like you have. And give yourself the opportunity to assert your hypothesis for who this world is good for, how does this create community, and who is this world not good for? Who does this actually repel? And worlds might repel trolls and disruptors and extremists, and that is a type of community system. But identifying who it's pushing away and who it's inviting in and why is a way to get more confident and competent with the spaces that we choose for our community moments, and recognizing that this is a communication to our community of how we belong together or not. So I will give the first critique of this space, which was I didn't search hard for this, but I didn't easily see pens available. When I pick these wandering places where you kind of have to find me, I have enjoyed the creative. I point at Carl because the original group that was kind of helping me would go find pens and start from the entrance and lead the pens to wherever I had chosen to hide out. And I didn't see that available in this space. So it's a bit of a kind of get lost and wander, which we may have lost some people. Somehow my setting never works, but
I couldn't hear from the spawn in place. I just walked
there you
around
go.
and blundered into that was
Yeah.
happening here. Yeah.
Yeah.
Rick
So
just joined.
who joined?
Be right back.
Oh, Rick did. Oh, Rick. Oh, that's so lovely. Yay. Yeah. So what it does though, because I do pick these nature spaces often to start out our time, is it makes us have to go find each other. And so even though it breaks community, it also makes community, because we become that bridge to go and gather our friends. Rick, nice to see you. Welcome. I love that avatar on you. Can you hear us?
Welcome in, Stitch.
Does anybody hear Rick?
My minor.
Oh, there's
I'm not
Rick.
hearing you, Rick. If you're talking, I'm not hearing you.
You guys can't hear me.
There we go.
There we go.
There.
Now we can hear you.
I can't
Yay.
hear you. This is
Oh,
weird.
you can't hear us. Oh, we can hear you. Somebody.
Well,
Maybe-
let's talk about him then.
Yeah, that's
Oh,
true.
yeah.
His ears seem
Those are
so
tanks.
alert. Tom the troll emerges. Carl, do you mind sending Rick a DM that we can hear him?
Oh, I can hear you guys now. Can you hear me?
Okay.
Yay! Yes.
I was
Good,
about
good,
to
good.
say,
Just
this
catching
smart
up.
guy. I think he's probably figuring it out.
Yeah, troubleshooting. Awesome. Well, welcome. We're just starting the World Hop portion of our Community Builder Meetup. And I chose this world, so I'm demonstrating what we do. And I'm asking everybody who wants to go on this World Hop to pick one space, own it with confidence, even if you've never been there, and give us your hypothesis on how the world makes community and breaks community. So I started with how it breaks community. It's possible that people are entering. I don't have that notification, even though I've turned it on. And if Carl's not catching it or one of us isn't catching it fast enough, they're just going to leave, because where is everybody? And Tom just identified that you can't hear us from down there. So that's another separation
Barely.
piece.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just barely. That is right.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's good that you could, and
My
you can.
minor gripe is the motion blur. Like that's kind
Oh,
of like a gamer thing. Once you get in most games, you turn off motion blur if it's an option. like it,
interesting.
uh,
So that's a community group it might
takes the edge off.
repel is more advanced kind of technical gamers because it feels like just
It's
elementary.
like motion blur and lens flare are like they're doing tricks that like your eyes do in real life, but it's like the camera isn't an eye. So
Ah,
for
so it's
certain folks,
awkward.
it's
Hmm.
what's there's a word term for it I can't think of. Like it takes you out of the immersion. There's a
Mm.
Interesting.
term for that.
I didn't know that terminology. I want to look that up better for environmental design. Thank you.
Hmm.
How I would say that it makes community is this is one of my favorite cave spaces I've ever seen in physical reality or virtual reality. I've never been to this world before. It was a gamble to come here, but I love the size of how these rocks hold us and give us this sense of we're not trapped in here. We have two different exits if necessary. Uh there's a cliff. but
Yeah.
there's a way that we are kind of held in a circle motion. So for small communities the world, I don't think this is well, actually I'm not in a huge caution for this being a public instance world because there's a lot of paths to get away from each other. But I would say, yeah, my theory is that it it makes a great small circle group and I will probably favorite it just for that. Getting
That's a
back
good
to
plan.
nature.
Sorry, hit the wrong button.
That's okay. Any other ideas of why this world makes or breaks community?
Yeah. I don't know for sure about that, but what I like is the soft details and vegetation here
Mm-hmm.
in the enclosed sense, but
Mm,
you can
that's nice.
look out on the vista all the way to the edge of the sea where it
Yeah.
drops off.
Mm.
And so you're not trapped.
Yeah. And I do, if we think about what our eyes do naturally, which is focus in and zoom out. So a lot of the guidance with like working at a desk on a screen is try to get your eyes away from the screen for 20 seconds every X amount of time. I forget. I obviously don't do it, but
Mhm.
I do find myself naturally like staring out the window off into oblivion occasionally and giving us the chance to connect with each other and then have a socially agreed upon pleasant space to stare off into
Mhm.
is a way to reduce the tension if we need to individually. And I do think
Mhm.
that can be really, I think fires in the middle of groups, because we have a lot of fires in VR
Mhm.
chat, that's another way that we give that visual relief to each other to just kind of like let our eyes dance and not have to focus in. So that's another
Yeah.
What
community
about
making.
what
Mm.
about the one thing that sometimes when we have these open spaces and these community events, I don't know, it might just be me, but sometimes when there's the roving camera like this right now, or
You just look
or
so
someone
cute
else,
in this space. I have to
yeah.
take a picture.
I just when someone else is kind of capturing it, that takes me out of like a slightly out of comfort. Like I'm used to it
Mm,
now, but like in the beginning, it
mm,
kind of creates that away from community in one way.
mm.
Yeah, I don't know if that happens to people, but
Would you say
those little
that's
those.
the
Mhm.
camera itself or the
Yeah, the
space?
actual camera. The
Okay.
camera. Like
Spotlight.
when I've been in some like meetings where like, is it okay if we record this? And sometimes I'm like, no, it's not okay. I don't want this recorded.
Yeah.
You know?
Oh,
Or
Mhm.
it just the physical object, the inorganic um object, inanimate inorganic that's sitting there.
mm.
I don't know. It just it gives me an odd impression when I first enter,
Mhm.
and that's just
Mhm.
my default reaction sometimes.
Yeah.
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 Thank you. Thank you for naming that. The
Mm-hmm.
elements that we bring
Mm-hmm.
to the space. And maybe even technically, we're in this natural outdoor setting. There's this floating camera hanging out, and that can be an unreality in itself. So
Exactly.
maybe I need to have us in a Matrix world next time, and it'll just blend right in. So, yeah. Thank you.
It's more than just the artifact of the camera. It's the what that camera signifies.
The
Is that
implication.
there's something.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's something else going on other than us right here.
Yeah.
Exactly. There you go.
And
Yeah.
for the latecomers, just no shame on that, but just to let you know, this is a streamed event. So the camera isn't just recording, this is live streaming to YouTube and Twitch, I think. So, yeah, it's real. And there is a stressor to that, but there is also an invitation to teach. We are all teaching together as we learn and we tell the truth about our lives in a way that we can risk it in a healthy way. So, thank you. Let's go to our next world. So I'm guessing.
I just want to say, I don't know
one more.
community, but these are the best ferns ever. I think these are better.
They're pretty beautiful, right?
They are just amazing.
Yeah.
Ferns. Okay, sorry.
Super lovely.
Okay if I favorite this world?
Of course it is. Yeah. Let's build fans out of our world.
There's this one last thing of consent when it comes to these worlds. When somebody creates a world, I guess the idea is that they share that world. It's just like how do I know that that person has granted consent for their artistic vision? Like when you create the world in VR chat, I can copy any world? Like, can an artist, someone who created this world, can say, no, I don't want this to be something that is duplicated? And
if you do, I just fell off a cliff. Following Carl. Okay. Join me. Jump. Where'd Carl go?
I didn't think somebody might be scared of heights. I mean, I want to do that.
Oh, that's a good point. Come down to the water.
That's a nice. It's like one of the most realistic
beaches
I've seen. Really, like just the
You did it. See, Tom, I'm always gonna make you fall when you come to my events.
Yeah, Ruth, you got as you see, though, I've been getting into world. I've made a thing of falling ever
You're
since.
learning the importance of falling. Yes, as an initiation. That's right. Yes. So, yeah, thank you for pointing out the ferns, and Carl, thank you for pointing out the beach. It is the water in here and the paying attention to where to use the details on the plant life. I do appreciate. I think this is a well painted world that is not overwhelming to my eyes, but it gives that sense of we're kind of really here. If you weren't all wearing avatars that are not human looking, I would really kind of maybe start believing we're here.
Carl stepped off.
That's another layer right there. Is there more realism?
Yeah. I know. If we were all wearing Ready Player Me avatars.
Okay, I'm gonna change it just to further get deeper into the immersion.
Yeah. See, Tom is here, but the Stitch avatar you were wearing. Oh wow, you both. Okay, now you're in a boy band together. This is great.
Look at this. Look at this. Look at the two of us.
It's half jazz, half folk. Who knows? Uh-oh. Are we going? Oh, there we go. Now it's spreading. I think Clayton, you're already kind of dressed for the outfit. So I don't know. This is great. You all need to.
There could already be a fan club starting on Twitch.
Seriously.
You don't know that.
Yes. The White Shirt Clan. Wait, not clan. No, that sounds weird. Oh my gosh, another white shirt. It's spreading. It's spreading. Technically, I think I'm wearing a white shirt under this sweater. So look at that. Wow. That's lovely.
Server security processing check. Okay, there we go.
Oh my God. It's Carl. I've never seen your Ready Player Me avatar. That kind of looks like you. Wow.
I mean, the last one was Ready Player Me too. This is just the old one before they added more stuff.
Yeah.
I've gone back and remade a couple.
Interesting.
Years.
think I have my Ready Player Me avatar in here somewhere too. What a space to see all the human beings here for a moment. It's interesting. VR chat is so particular about nice. Carl still has to be the furry in human with a furry outfit.
Yeah. Well,
I think it's made us playful.
That's true, right? Exactly. Falling off cliffs definitely brings the fun out. Um, let's world hop. And Wild, would you like to show us your world first or last?
Yeah, first sounds good.
Okay,
yeah.
let's do it.
Cool. Yeah, so yeah, what should I is there a way to have us
Yeah.
all go there to go there?
Yes. So
Drop
I
it.
can drop one or you can drop one. It's up to you.
Cool.
If you're on public should work. That'll be fine. We'll just be kind to people if they're confused.
Again, for a labs world.
Yeah. So it's very typical for people to just start running around and testing the world, but we're gonna sit here until everybody comes back, and then we're gonna hear your how would you. Sometimes world creators want us to just feel the world first and not tell us context or a tour. And sometimes they want us to hear their kind of tour explanation first. What is your preference?
Yeah, I'll give a little bit of overview at least.
Okay.
Yeah, this was a project I worked on. It was actually part of a game-focused art residency, and my idea, I worked on this with a few other people, and the idea was to create a world where everything's made out of cardboard, but there's this like dream in this world of one day making it to Gold World. And
Mm.
with this idea that this world was almost created as a way to get people to strive for something that's seen as better or higher status, like Gold World. So, um, yeah, there's a little bit of some hidden things around, and I also wanted to make a space where you could be a little playful and use the plants around to build structures and that kind of thing.
Mm.
Um,
Oh,
so
Oh, look
yeah.
at that. It's engageable. You can modify the space.
Mm-hmm.
A little
Wow.
bit, yeah.
So
Yeah,
you
you can
can
grab and throw
interact.
things.
Wow.
And oh, and so it syncs. You can see that I'm doing. Yeah. Okay.
yes.
Yeah.
Right.
Hmm.
I have a subtitle for your world:
Yeah.
the natural habitat of the military.
The
Oh.
natural habitat of the military.
Because military
Mm.
brats move so often, they always have big cardboard boxes to play with.
Hmm.
Oh.
I mean, it's a regular meme thing in the military brat community.
Mm.
Interesting. Huh, never
It,
heard that.
it it's considered really
Cool.
precious
Yeah,
Wow.
to make,
okay.
as an
Okay.
aspect of
Huh.
our moving around a lot and whatnot.
Mm.
We were
And
always
and
so
yes,
happy when
go ahead.
mom and dad or like somebody's parent bought a new fridge or a new whatever, and that you had that giant box. That was like the
Yeah.
best thing ever.
Great, great.
Hmm.
What do you call it when you slide down the hill? Sled. A great
Sledding.
sled.
Mm-hmm. Box sleds.
Tobogganing, or is that a Canadian
Yeah,
term?
yeah.
Tobogganing. Okay. Yeah.
So we're recognizing that this could be a community space for military brats or more
Mm-hmm.
classically cats. This could be the gold world for cats.
Oh, this would be a cat world for sure.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah, this
Yeah.
is for all kids. I
This is
think that what we're going to
Catopia.
say, all kids love cardboard.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
But one
Forget
other
about
kind of
what's in the box. I want the cardboard. Yeah.
Yes. Yes.
One other little side note, I the group that I was working with, a lot of the most of the assets in here are scanned in from things that we built or gathered in real life. So,
Oh,
um,
yeah.
yeah, we had some
Yeah.
people 3D scanning things and
Wow.
taking photos of things. So I'd say about 90% of what you're seeing is real life cardboard props.
Ooh,
Nice.
It looks
that's.
authentic.
There's a
It's very
movie.
satisfying to move it. It feels great to move it. It's
There's a
just right.
movie
Yeah.
about
Ribs.
these people that craft things out of paper, and it's a drama of sorts. Do you know this movie? I think the title has paper in it or something, or
Hmm.
making cardboard or something. I'll have to find it, but there's a lot of breakaway scenes between these intense conflicts happening between people and then it getting reenacted in a style very much like this. And it kind of it lets you step away from the tension and feel the creativity of what these artists are making to kind of illustrate the pain points. Like when there's a
Mm.
fight, the little paper person will just kind of rip in half slowly, and you'll watch those two
Mm.
sides fall apart. So the impermanence and the flat nature of it makes the movie feel genuine and kind of wretched at the same time.
Mm.
Yeah.
Cool. Yeah, I'd love to check that out.
It'd be cool to be
Um,
playing a movie like that in here somewhere. Something like
yeah.
the
Oh
philosophy of
yeah.
ripped paper.
That would be cool. Yeah.
Wow.
Um,
I think if I
yeah,
did
yeah.
a
Speaking of
flat
which,
avatar.
we had to kind of pull this together over the course of a few weeks. So
Mm.
yeah, as y'all are looking around, I'm definitely happy to hear feedback or
Mm.
yeah, whatever
I
you feel
love
like sharing around it.
I love the splashes of color.
Mm.
You know, the
Mm-hmm.
green, the blue,
Mm-hmm.
more green, gold, blue,
Mm-hmm.
a little bit of hidden green over there. I'm not sure. Plant. I love that.
Yeah.
Some
Thanks.
orange back there.
I'm curious how
Yeah.
much of this space that you created in physical or reality like this, like a little diorama of it, and then just scanned it in versus just
Yeah.
adding pieces as you went.
This is quite extensive.
Mm.
Yeah, a lot of the 3D buildings that you're seeing, actually around the corner, I think that direction, there's a video player, that might be working that has a YouTube video of an installation that we first created using these cardboard houses in
Mm.
for like a real life event. And it was during that real life event we had to 3D scan the whole kind of sculpture in order to projection map it. So taking that 3D scan that we took that day was kind of the basis of starting this world. I just threw it
Mm.
in and decided to check it out in VR and thought it was a cool look. And then the
Mm-hmm.
rest of it kind of came about more organically.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
What are
Wow.
those gold bars way at the other end there? You can't even see it from here. You got to get to the other side of that wall. This
Let's go look at them
that way.
this
Well,
way.
it'll just gonna take you 3 or 4 minutes to get there.
Oh,
You
they're
got it.
really far away.
Yeah, I'm not kidding. But I'm not even saying you should.
Oh,
I just was.
whoa.
It
That
does.
bunny bounced me.
I can't even remember how I got there.
Oh, you're probably seeing Gold World.
Yeah, Gold World.
Gold World is
A long
real.
way.
It's not just a
Gold
myth.
World is real.
What? I thought it
Yeah,
was satire on being like, you'll never get to Gold World. It will always be like irony and despair. That's interesting. Gold World is
Yeah,
real.
it's real. Yeah, you can it takes about 5 minutes to run there. I wouldn't say it's worth it, but um
Did you get to Gold World that fast, Tom? It's amazing.
yeah,
Did
I
everybody
didn't
else run?
really mean
Huh.
they're actually headed to the top of this hill, I think.
Oh, look at that.
Mhm.
Wow. I like these hills. They're moving. But the feet on the hills is actually like meeting it in the correct space, so it's not above or
Mm,
sunk into it. It's not easy to do
right.
with objects like this. But if you watch
Yeah.
everybody's feet, they're mostly staying outside of the ground. That's great.
Hmm. Hmm.
That
Yeah.
it's a subtle touch, but it solidifies the immersion of believing this space as a real thing.
Yeah, I could see that. Yeah, the ground is all, yeah, the kind of standard terrain, and then it all just has like a shader material on it.
Mm,
And it's
wow.
moving.
So my first impression, which I think, cardboard and creative spaces allow us all to project a story. And the first story that I recognized here, just from the video I saw in your brief description to me, was this is a world that is somewhat warning people about the false promises of fame and fortune within creativity. And
Mm-hmm.
it's a heads up kind of journey space to say, underneath the sparkles and the shaders and the beauty of the digital space, there's a lot of people who feel like they're being treated as having made a cardboard paradise. That there's a
Mm-hmm.
disposableness and a wretchedness to the lost world vibe, um, that nobody talks about because everybody's always in this dreaming of the future when they'll make it to gold world, so to speak. Um, uh,
Yeah,
yeah, curious.
exactly. Yeah.
Yeah, like losing worlds, how they can go dark.
Yeah,
The Tibetan monastery I miss.
yeah.
Yeah, that was definitely on my mind. And yeah, part of the inspiration was like spending more time using cardboard art as an artistic material, mostly just to save money on small budgets, but realizing how versatile it is and how much creativity can come out of materials like that. And yeah, just kind of thinking about, yeah, the idea of that you could be living in this world where you have so many creative possibilities and beauty happening, but yeah, it kind of gets lost if your focus is on,
Old world.
yeah, how to get to Gold World.
Mm,
Yeah.
lovely.
You don't say.
Yeah, that's why I thought that was a bad.
Woo.
It's so easy to get disoriented here. So anyway, yeah,
I'm showing you on
you
a full
shouldn't be
day.
objective oriented. You should just go around. Yeah.
Don't be objective in
Yeah.
cardboard world.
Mhm.
I fell off the side of the road
And
because Tom
I have
lied
I
to
have
me.
projected. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
That happens.
I have
Okay.
projected so many fantasies onto cardboard,
Uh-huh.
Mm.
so I can relate.
It's why I came to this event tonight. I saw we were going to go to a
Mm.
cardboard world, and I loved that idea.
Cool.
Look at you. You're bringing in your community group and you didn't even know it. Yeah, there's something humble about it that made me especially excited. We've gone to some really brilliant, interesting worlds, but I think the truth telling of this space and the like
Mm-hmm.
soften your, especially in VR chat, because a lot of the culture in VR chat is kind of snobby. I have to say that about lower poly, more organic, rough creation world building spaces, and
Mm-hmm.
specifically Horizon. But there are other ones that I've seen the same thing. Like there is a lot of boohooing about alt space, and um, there was another one that went away. Oh, the
I don't
Firefox
know.
one. But um, I think there's a way that you're bringing the high graphics, the intentionality, the shaders, but you're also ripping off the veneer, the gold leafing that
Mm-hmm.
isn't actually gold, and saying this is beautiful too.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
Remember the
totally.
beauty in that rudimentary sculpting play that everybody else just sees as a pile of junk to burn or recycle. But your dreams are in that pile. Build with what you have.
Mm-hmm. Totally.
And there are certainly
Yeah.
places in the world where, yeah, cardboard is how they live.
Mhm. Yeah. Yeah, it's a pretty crazy material.
Is it possible that you've boxed yourself, wink, wink, into an impossible paradox that the beauty of this world, if really captured and made viral, could propel you into gold world? And what happens then for cardboard world?
Hmm. Like if Card World gains the status of a gold world?
Hmm?
Hmm. Yeah. I haven't considered that.
I believe that.
That's an interesting question. Yeah.
The paradox sets you up to never have it become the gold world.
Right.
But ultimately,
Yeah.
that's the tension point to explore. How do you forgive that it might become the gold world? And how do you welcome the community who sees a cardboard world like Tom as gold?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's interesting. I mean, I guess when I was creating this, I kind of had the intention of this being a project where, unlike some of my client work or projects where I am focused on more external motivations, the goal for it was to really just kind of have fun with my friends and explore the idea of building kind of a speculative future type space, and with the intention of really not being concerned with like iterating on it or building it into something new, kind of seeing what we could do in a few weeks and yeah, seeing maybe what came out of it. But yeah, I think on some level my ambitions with it are pretty low. As far as
That's the best.
as
That's great.
yeah.
The first time those words have ever been said in VR chat about any world. My ambitions are cardboard
Now you've
level.
gotten
Yeah. Now you
you've
have our
got me
attention.
wanting to break stoneware in China
Exactly. I know.
and build a mosaic world.
Ooh,
Mhm.
look at that. And what is it? What is the practice in Eastern culture of taking the broken pottery and putting the gold leafing in
Yeah.
between?
Yeah, right. Yeah, the
Yeah.
name of that. I can't think of it right now.
And so,
So when you hold a cup you love, you
Brick.
know it's already broken.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I almost had it. Okay, it'll come to me.
I want to say
This box is now
ikigai.
made with
Artist.
less material. I just love that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It probably came
Yeah.
from Amazon.
Oh,
I think it did.
there's a lot of Amazon signs. Maybe this is Amazon's gold world, and they're going to be like,
Oh
yes, we're going to do
man.
our commercial here.
We
Kill the
know the
Yeah.
forest.
Amazon smiles.
Honestly, you're seeing this after I cut down the Amazon smiles by like at least 50%. I I just
Yeah.
thought they were really fun and kind of went crazy with them, and some people told
Oh,
me it was
they're kind of
off-putting the level
Too
repelled.
of
much.
No, yeah,
Yeah,
my
yeah.
previous job, I drove Amazon truck. It,
yeah.
I purposely set all the boxes upside down so they looked like frowns.
Messing with people.
That's
It
hilarious,
was
Carl. I can
it was a
totally
drug
see you
test.
doing that. Oh my God. Here's your package, but it's upside down.
Yeah, yeah.
Who do you
What to me is
go ahead. I can
this
ask.
is kind of genre bending for me because to me, I don't know if I heard you say this was your intent or not. Just have fun with your friends, but also this is kind of a dystopian world, but it's a funny dystopian world. That's the thing that
Mhm.
really rocks about it.
Mm,
And
yeah,
just a million fun
Yeah.
things. Yeah.
that's really
It
well put.
does
Yeah.
remind me of kind of like the like Adult Swim, like low effort animation cartoons, but they would be like actually really well thought out, like well written stuff. A lot of
Mm,
thought behind it, even if the presentation is uh, like purposely low. Like the cardboard evokes happy, even like with your avatar. As soon as we popped in here, I was like, oh, I see you now.
Mhm.
But
Totally. Yeah.
it
Yeah.
It takes effort for sure, but it gives a sense of it's like the Nintendo had the whole like game where you could like build the peripherals for the game, but it was like all made of cardboard. You had like a
Hmm.
suction hook and a robot suit, whatever
Hmm.
other steering wheel thing I think. But it was
Mm.
actually pretty cool and like teaches stuff, but presentation makes it look easy and not yeah easiness, ease of access is kind of more like the highlight of it I think rather than like the low
Accessible. Yeah.
yeah.
Mm.
I also see an alternate reality that maybe could become your reality where this world or a copy of it becomes a historical journey of understanding paper and
Mm.
how it
Ooh.
has been made, diversified, um, the substances, the changes that have come, and that the examples of different kinds of paper could be kind of put subtly throughout the world. And it's this journey of being immersed in the soul of paper and what it
Mm-hmm.
becomes, um,
Mm.
as a kind of more walkabout gamification of the space. So people have a scavenger hunt to learn 10 facts about paper or something, um, which could be a type of
Mm-hmm.
activism of sorts, of appreciating the thing that we take for granted, but has a whole journey to it.
Mm.
And it doesn't have to be. It's just a fascinating way to like give people something to follow and more richly talk about to people. I went to this cardboard world and I learned how much water it used to take to make paper and
Mm-hmm.
now
Yeah.
how much water it takes or whatever.
Yeah.
And
Almost like a
dye.
museum experience.
Yeah.
And so if there were sheets of paper of different colors that you could wallpaper on different
Mm,
things and the dyes that
interesting.
it takes to make the
Oh, that's interesting. Yeah, just the paper factory of sorts. And I know that's
Over here
not
we got
your
a
original message, but it's an
mm,
interesting way to kind of add a deeper layer to it, potentially.
it jumps out.
Totally.
Over here we got an edge crunch test score of 26. What does that mean? You know,
Yeah, exactly.
the question asks itself. Yeah,
Yeah, yeah, that there's all these hidden messages that really
yeah.
mean something to a certain
structural
community,
strength. Yeah.
right? And giving people the ability to interpret and I mean paper in itself is a dying art to some degree. Like it has less necessity in some ways than it ever has,
Mm-hmm.
but maybe has
Which makes
never
it more
been,
special.
yeah, maybe has never been like
I have a friend
loved.
who has not given up writing letters. And she uses these amazing
With
papers that
pens
she writes letters
and
on. Yeah,
papers.
and
Wow.
she's a
That
great
is,
writer.
yeah, that is something. So thank
Yeah.
you. Who do you think this
Yeah.
world, as far as community, what community would be repulsed by this? Would
Hmm.
say this is not my space that I want to bring my community to?
Yeah. I think kind of like y'all have brought up, but I feel like definitely if people are turned off by kind of lo-fi, kind of alternative collagey things that don't fit more of a mainstream idea of kind of like quality 3D art, I think that would definitely be a turn off for them.
Mm.
Um, and yeah, I think um, yeah, and maybe it also is kind of a lot, you get in, there's kind of a lot going on, so it takes a little bit of, I think, like patience or open-mindedness to be down with a world that is doesn't really look like what you might be expecting.
Mhm. There's a requirement, just like again looking at a pile of broken pieces of cardboard, to settle in and absorb differently and let it be what it is and not see this as, what do they call it? Gray boxing in creation design,
Mm,
right? See this
Mm.
as a gray boxing space, and then you're going to build the real world. Um,
totally.
and to go, nope, this is the real world, and it has that level of intentional design and a story to be felt as you go.
Totally.
But
Yeah.
people who like structure and to be contained might be uncomfortable. Like the cave there,
Mhm.
it had structure and you were contained.
Mm-hmm.
This doesn't have any of that, so that might be a problem for some people.
Yeah, that's a really good point.
Mhm.
Yeah.
For
And
people, yeah, go ahead.
oh yeah, yeah. When I first created this, our intention was actually to create this as kind of a game experience where you would have to find these different objects and then use
Hmm,
them to be
exactly.
able to get to Gold World.
Hmm.
And we still retained the spinning wheel you can try out, but kind of took away some of those game mechanics. But
Hmm.
yeah, it we kind of ended up going away from, mostly for complexity reasons,
Hmm.
moving away from something that's a little more streamlined or has more of an intentionality to the experience.
Hmm. Yeah, which requires a certain maturity, and I think that my simplest answer to this, who is this community, who is this world not for, is I would say this is not a first world for newbies to VR.
No,
Mm-hmm.
agreed.
And and partly because it's like asking people to appreciate sophisticated swimming when they still have float paddles on, they would not be able to feel this as beautiful as much as just kind of hard to make sense out of. And so
Mm-hmm.
this is a world for people who have a refined palette of world building. It's very unique in VR chat. I think I have not seen
Or
a
kind of
space
wiggly.
or wiggly.
Or like I'm just I've been wanting to comment on it, but I'm curious about there's
floor.
like why is it wiggly? But also
Yeah.
you were I mean that was the angle I was going to go into it with the whole like that could be bothersome for people that
Yeah.
don't have VR legs, motion sick.
Yeah, that's
But
true.
I'm
There
just
could be a
wondering if there
nausea
was like a
response.
creative choice there. Like,
Yeah,
Yeah,
interesting.
I could see that. Yeah, the wiggly floor actually, this whole space, at first we were thinking it was gonna have more of a feel of like almost this like meta kind of, you're in this cyber world where this cardboard is being generated by some powerful entity that's really just trying to manipulate you to work to get to Gold World. And the idea was this
Hmm.
was going to be kind of this like weird metaverse representation where like the kind of like the grid sky is kind of remained
Mm-hmm.
in that sense, but but yeah, the moving floor was meant to be part of that kind of like unsettling unreality
Mm-hmm.
kind of vibe.
Almost like the top of the container and the bottom of the container is telling you to keep going, keep creating, keep moving. You don't get to just let it be what it is.
Mm. Yeah, and there's something almost kind of fake about it. Like, it almost feels like it's like, I don't know, just like laughing at you that you're in cardboard
Mhm.
world. Like,
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
cardboard usually sits still too. It doesn't
Right.
yeah.
usually do this.
Yeah.
Good
Yeah.
point.
It's
Yeah,
an
go ahead.
unreality of it that definitely is uncomfortable, but in a useful way. Um, so
there's a certain
lovely.
distance that it stops animating, and I can't. I just trying to find like are those pieces moving way over there?
Oh, right. Yeah. The further you look, the more, which also creates this sense of
Stable.
pursuit, right? Of like, oh, well, that's the quiet place.
It'll
That's
be
the still
stable over there.
space.
Yeah.
It'll be stable
Yeah.
over there. So I'm going to keep moving
Yeah.
to find the most stable spot. Wow. Clayton, I'm curious about the change in avatars, which, by the way, that one's really mesmerizing. But what made you change avatars?
Um, this is my small,
Oh,
low energy avatar.
interesting. Is it
I picked him when I'm
reflecting?
tired.
I see. So this is the cooked, you're done avatar, kind of turned into a pumpkin and now a tiny little witch creature. That's
The
lovely.
robes look like from Journey.
Chatter, we
I think you said you
cooked.
played that, Leah.
Lovely.
Did you?
Um,
Does anyone
it's
played
it
Journey?
does. I
Mm-mm.
I thought you
have it.
picked
I
that
thought
because
they.
of that, because it's like a desert running around,
It
like
almost is
really
kind of fake,
artsy.
doesn't it?
Yeah.
We're going to, we've got about 7 minutes left, so we're going to move to our checkout world. We didn't go on a much longer world hop, but this was such a privilege. I think this was
Yeah.
such
I
a
agree.
treat, a dessert. I don't know if anyone's been here. I've heard about this world,
I
but I
have.
haven't been here.
Oh, do we have a quick second? Sorry, my bad. I
Well,
didn't realize it was like already ending.
we're close, yeah.
Um, but uh, but I gotta say, as somebody that puts on events, a world like this, as basic as you might feel it is, I do think that it holds a lot of keys for success for like bringing groups together as far as joining,
Mm,
because like you join. I thought immediately when I joined, the first thing I looked up at the big arch, right? It could be a
mm,
place for you know, the leaders of the group to stand, wait for the new people to come in.
mm,
But then from up high, you can see it a little better. But there's a lot of neat little things to
mm,
situate yourself at, hang out at, position yourself at. And I already kind of said, but I come from talk group where we do like pair talks where we put people together, and worlds like this are perfect for that kind of stuff, right?
are
So like there's
all the
always
little
a little something.
spots. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a little something for, a little something of interest everywhere. Even if it's way up on mountain high, somebody will go up there, right? You
You
know,
know,
Mm-hmm.
uh, somebody
this
will
is
look up there and they'll be
actually,
like, I want to be all the way up there, right? Um,
and your observation is really interesting because I can see the communication of a world like this. So, Talk Group, if you're unaware, is actually a community group designed to help people learn skills to work with their social anxiety. And
mhm,
Cool.
I think this world could be a really good field trip match because worlds in themselves, when they are more like gold worlds, can be very deafening and intimidating. Of like, I'm in a place of royalty and excellent design, and everybody's an expert except me. But this world could actually be like, yeah, this is what it feels like. If I was going to be able to build a world, this is what I'd build it like. And is that okay? And let's have a conversation about it in here and
Mm.
feel small together, feel like children, and still be able to manipulate. I think a really big key that you have here is that you can change the environment. It would be a harder
Mm.
world if you couldn't interact with it. It would feel a
Mm.
little more frozen and kind of like, is this somebody's fever dream nightmare? But the interactableness makes it playful and genuine. So lovely that way, very much so. Thank you, Clayton, for
Yeah.
bringing that out. I think that's exactly it for you to get feedback from community event builders that are going, I could use this space. I'm going to favorite this. So get a little more traffic in your community lab world. Yay. Okay, we're going to do a checkout here because Clayton is cooked and we have all been laboring for a couple hours. If you can all stand around for just maybe a few minutes over the hour, I would love that so we could all just offer one appreciation of each other. So I'll explain that a little bit more when we get to this world. I drop a portal one more time here. And yeah, we'll grab a group photo. See if we go to flat earth. It feels appropriate as a secondary to a cardboard world. Let's go to flat earth.
Nice.
Yay. I'm sure you've been here, Tom, yeah?
I have. I find it very weird. I don't know what he was saying. This is not a normal Nico world at all.
No, it's
Eh,
not. For those of you who are
Yeah.
not familiar with Nico, this feels like an April Fool's piece that he did.
Yeah, something like that.
Yeah.
Published
Is the
April
Terminator
1st,
movie?
2025.
Yeah,
It doesn't
exactly.
feel like. I mean,
It is,
as
Owen.
soon
Yeah,
as
yeah.
I'm like, hold on.
And I can see that I appreciate because there is a huge activation of April Fool's worlds, and I'm just so grateful that there is no cheese in this world because the other ones have a lot of cheese. So yay. Um. Oh, wild. Oh, she's not in the group yet. I just realized. I did a group instance and she can't get in.
Oh,
I know. Whoops. Let me invite
well,
her to the
tell us
group.
what to do.
Um, invite to group. She needs. Oh, it says she's a member. Never mind. That's weird. Send invite. It must have just glitched. Guessing. Or wait, is this a PC only world?
No.
No, it's Quest. Okay, so that's not it.
Yeah, because I'm here on
Potentially,
Quest.
they're still loading up the. Yep, still loading up the world. I bet they're joining right now.
Cool. Where's Carl?
Hey, there she is.
In the heavens.
Oh, Carl's flying around. You made it. Sorry about that. I don't know what happened, but welcome to the flat earth. Let's do a little circle here and we'll say good night after this, after we grab a photo and do our checkout. So the appreciation game is you've done variations of this in other groups before, but basically there's two rules to this, which is pick somebody who is least expecting an appreciation from you and will be most surprised to receive it in that moment. Um, the idea with this is that this is where we get to link to each other. So there can be an instinct to appreciate everybody and everything. I'm going to ask you to narrow in and pick one person here, ideally who hasn't already been appreciated. And so the way we do this, it's a little silly, but we pick up this imaginary appreciation ball that has all the swirling energy of our time together and we throw it to each other. And especially if you're in
I think
VR.
that's an appreciation disc.
That's right. It's a disc because it's a flat Earth. That's right. Well, there technically is a ball flying around here. So I guess the moon is not flat.
It looks flat to me.
It looks nice. Like, yes, it is.
I'm also
It's all
invested,
flat.
though, so.
Could be a floating disc.
That's true. That's true. Okay, so this appreciation disc, and it's got all this swirling energy in it. And it's all the complaints and the pain and also the play that we've done tonight. We're going to throw this to each other and catch it after somebody's thrown it to us and hold it in our arms while we receive the appreciation. Partly we do this because it's playful, but partly we do this because it actually requires us in our body language to open ourselves to being acknowledged. And we're taught in life to resist appreciation and to judge it and qualify it and hedge against it. And this is a way to remind our body it's okay to take in acknowledgement. Appreciation does not have to be hyper positive. It can actually be like, hey, you kept doing that thing. Sometimes people appreciate me for moving around a lot. And they're like, you move around a lot, and I can't look at you when you talk because you move around so much. But I appreciate how that made me breathe and be with me. And that's the nicest ways people have put it before. But just knowing appreciation does not have to be like, you're awesome. It can be, I'm growing because of something about you. And thank you for helping me grow that way. So, that being said, I'm going to whisk the disc into the center there. And who would like to go first? And we'll start the game.
I'll go ahead and grab it.
Carl's going to model this. Why are you so black, Carl? Your avatar.
We all are.
It's falling, yeah.
It's
Oh,
where the lighting is. Yeah.
I.
Yeah, but
Oh, okay.
Unless you have the blessing of the lighting on your front. Yeah.
I see. Gotcha.
I'm gonna steal Mary's move here too and do the freaky
Ooh.
There we go.
And do the emoji ball, which is also a flat disc.
Right. Yes. I wanted to maybe a little heavy with it, but you know, it's this ball's starting out a little heavy, but I'm throwing it over to Tom, right?
Tom,
Yeah.
catch the disc. Here it comes.
I'm getting a little older myself, and I haven't interfaced with it really yet. But hearing you and it not in like a kind of wishy-washy, spiritual way. Even if there is some element of it that I've heard, but it seems very practical and grounded, and I'm interested in that. So appreciate you doing all that you do in that I keep hearing about.
Hmm. Hmm. I love that. Yay. You got it.
I quickly add to what you said, Ruth. Appreciation comes from a Latin to the same thing as pricing, which is to
Yeah.
say, it means to
To
know the
discern
value of
value.
something. That's right.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's really important. And
Mm-hmm.
so I appreciate KT. Right when I came in and you were talking today, I appreciate the how present and engaged you are in every
Mm.
group and event that I've ever seen you in.
Mm-hmm.
Always. And
Lovely.
group hosts must just love you so much because they just know it's going to
Mm.
be someone who's going to be just
A
really engaged.
solid participant. Yeah. That's KT. Yeah.
Thank you, Tom.
Mm.
I'm going to throw this to Clayton.
Clayton. You can. Oh,
In
yay. Look at
appreciation
witchy
for a
hands.
fellow transplant from
Hmm.
Texas to Arkansas. I really appreciate that about
Oh.
you, and I appreciate how you want to help out in groups in any
Hmm.
way. It's not like you're asking to be a leader. You're willing to do whatever the
Mm-hmm.
group work that needs to be done.
Mm-hmm.
And so thank you for that.
Yeah. That's so big. Thank you
I
also.
appreciate that.
Mm-hmm.
Now I'm left to a tough decision.
Hmm. Hmm.
Mm, I'll give it to Wild.
Wild. Got it.
I think it's as somebody as a previously not very imaginative, I think it's really
Hmm.
great to create your own world. That's really cool, especially one
Hmm.
that seems really well thought out.
Hmm.
Sorry if am I cutting out real bad? I was long
No,
due a reset.
Good.
no,
No, I
you're
hear
Okay,
you
good.
great.
but uh, like Tom had mentioned earlier, like even if purposefully it was or wait, I'm sorry, that might have been Carl. But
Mm.
even if it was purposely not so technically advanced,
Mm-hmm.
there was still a lot of thought put into it
Mm.
where it mattered,
Mm-hmm.
and I personally thought it was really cool.
Mm.
It's not easy to express that kind of creativity,
Mm-hmm.
especially in ways like that. I guess I mean, uh, a VR chat world is I mean, working with VR chat's not very easy anyway, even if it's all
Mm.
done for you. So, so doing it from scratch is, I'm sure, a lot of work, and it sounded like y'all put a lot of effort into it to
Mm.
make it happen. So I think that's really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
thank you. I appreciate that. Yeah,
Mm.
and I appreciate y'all coming out and visiting it.
Yeah,
Mm.
absolutely.
Yay.
Um,
Ooh.
so I guess yeah, I'll send it over to Ruth and
What? I'm so surprised.
and yeah, I mean definitely appreciate your passion and energy you put into community organizing and
Mm.
kind of on the first level of just being impressed by you reaching out to me to present this world. You clearly put a lot of thought and intentionality into this, and hearing today about your struggle of having to deal with this kind of toxic situation. I
Mm.
admire kind of the risk you're taking and your
Mm.
bravery and time you're putting into handling it well.
Mm. Mm.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you. Thank you for weaving my pain point into this, because Friday nights are definitely, they end on a note of joy often, but I'm still hurting for sure. And so thank you for acknowledging that. Um, yeah. Oof. So with that, our Friday evening event is over. If you value this, please tell a friend about it and RSVP. Even if you just put interested, it'll keep you in the loop on these events. And so you'll get reminders on Discord if you say you're interested, and then subscribe to hearing those updates. And our next event will be on Sunday. It is Street Epistemology. And it is a event where we practice conflict on purpose, and we come up with statements to have arguments on, but there's a structure to it that starts with play and gets more serious as we go. And so it teaches us all how to not have the right answer or the right opinion, but hold a gradient of perspectives and learn how to empathize with the humanity in each opinion, as hard to stomach as they might be sometimes. So you're all welcome to join that, and some of you have been to it, and it's quite fun. We're really making it into its own kind of game experience of sorts. And so that is an event also you can RSVP for on our Discord. And then the final thing is, where shall we take a group photo? This is kind of an odd world to do it in, but maybe we just all stand in the middle of the storm and look up or something, because otherwise it's going to be a
Face
weird
the
backdrop.
sun, maybe?
Yeah, look toward the sun. So if you want to have any kind of like, if you want to see what you look like, come over here with KT.
I don't think I'm lit on this
Yeah.
one either.
Maybe you can do it fast because the sun's moving.
Does it work for
Yeah,
Carl?
keep
Carl's
spinning.
just black wherever
think
he
so.
is. That's so
No,
On
weird.
avatar, too.
If you just
Interesting.
get next to KT and look at the sun.
Yeah, he's pretty
You have to
blanked
keep
out.
rotating a little bit.
And now quick, take it.
Here, this one has light. Yeah,
Okay,
this
that
one
that
takes-
works. Yeah, you're baked in. Okay, good. All right, what's our word for the night? Our camera's right there.
Flat.
Cardboard.
Cardboard. Oh, yay. Cardboard. Oh, so cute. And you're all facing different directions, so I'm going to take one more.
Let's get around where we can face
Camera.
the sun.
There we
Yeah,
go.
the camera.
Okay.
Where was this?
Everybody
The camera or
face
the
the
sun?
camera.
Get the
That's
camera.
the camera.
and
The
sit
camera.
with the sun.
You're good.
Yeah.
You're good. Camera works. Okay. Carl, look up at the camera. Yeah. Nice. All right. I got it. So I'll be posting that in our event page so you can have this memory. And thank you, everybody. This was so lovely. I definitely get my community fix on Friday evenings. Hopefully I'll see you next week. And welcome to Clayton. This is your, actually Clayton and Wild, this is your first BridgeMakers event, I think, for both of you. So lots of celebration for that. Yay.
Yeah,
Thank
yeah,
you.
it's great meeting you. all.
Thanks. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Hope you
Just
will
do
all
it for
come
me.
back and
Bye
bring
for
other
now.
world creators. Let's do this more. This was fun. Okay. Be well, everyone. Good night.